Why do some people spend years waiting for one conversation? Perhaps it's the ex-partner who left without a word, leaving a gaping hole of why. Or the friend who ghosted after a decade of shared memories, making you question everything you thought was real. Maybe it's the family member who never apologized for a past hurt, and that silence echoes through years of holidays. These aren't just isolated incidents, they're common human experiences that leave us yearning for an explanation. A final piece to a puzzle we didn't even know we were solving. One explanation, one final answer. It sounds reasonable, doesn't it? The idea that a single conversation, a perfectly articulated reason, could tie up all the loose ends and finally grant us peace. We're conditioned to seek resolution, to believe that every story has a clear beginning, middle, and end. But here's the mystery. If closure helps people move on, why do so many people stay stuck while waiting for it? Why do we see individuals dedicating years to chasing a conversation that may never come, or if it does, often falls short of expectations? This isn't just about a desire for understanding. It's about a deeper, more complex psychological mechanism at play. By the end of this video, you'll understand the hidden mechanism behind closure and why the thing you're waiting for may not be what you need. We'll explore the subtle ways our minds trick us into believing external validation is the only path to healing, and how to reclaim that power for ourselves. Most people think they're looking for answers, so they replay old conversations, dissecting every word, every glance, searching for a hidden meaning, a clue they might have missed. They might spend hours scrolling through old texts, emails, or social media posts, trying to piece together a narrative that makes sense of the sudden silence or abrupt ending. They imagine what they should have said, crafting perfect retorts or heartfelt pleas. Believing a different response could have changed everything. This mental loop becomes a prison, keeping them tethered to a past that no longer exists. Or hope one day the other person will finally explain everything, believing that a single conversation will unlock peace. They might fantasize about a chance encounter, a heartfelt apology, or a detailed confession that finally provides the missing context. This hope, while seemingly benign, can become a significant barrier to moving forward, because if they could just understand what happened, then maybe they could move on. This is the core belief, the fundamental assumption that drives so much of our pursuit of external closure. We believe that knowledge is power, and in this case, the power to heal. But that's not the real problem. The real problem lies deeper, in the very fabric of human psychology and our innate need for certainty. The first mechanism is uncertainty. Human beings want complete stories. We crave narrative coherence. Our brains are wired to seek patterns, to connect dots, and to create a logical flow of events. We want clear endings, a definitive conclusion that allows us to file away an experience and move on. Think of a movie that ends abruptly, leaving you with more questions than answers. Your mind naturally tries to fill in the gaps, to create a coherent narrative, even if it means inventing scenarios. This same psychological drive applies to our personal relationships. When a relationship ends without the explanation we hoped for, the mind keeps searching. It's not a conscious choice, it's an automatic response to an incomplete narrative. This search can manifest as obsessive thoughts, constant rumination, or an inability to focus on the present, not because the relationship is still alive, but because the question is. The unanswered question acts like an open wound, constantly drawing our attention and preventing true healing. It's the why that haunts us, the what if that keeps us awake at night. And unanswered questions are difficult to let go of. They represent a challenge to our cognitive need for order and understanding. We feel compelled to solve the puzzle, even if the pieces are missing or deliberately withheld. As Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist, Holocaust survivor, and author known for his work on meaning and suffering, said, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." This profound insight reminds us that while we cannot control the actions or explanations of others, we always have agency over our own internal response. The true path to closure often lies not in altering the past, but in transforming our relationship with it. Because sometimes the search for closure isn't about understanding the past. It's about escaping uncertainty. It's about avoiding the discomfort of not knowing, of having an incomplete story. We mistakenly believe that if we just had the answer, the pain would disappear. But often, the pain is rooted in our resistance to the unknown, not the unknown itself. It's the fear of the void, the discomfort of ambiguity, that keeps us trapped. If you're enjoying these perspective shifts, subscribe to Daily Reset Lab. We delve into topics like this every week, offering practical insights for navigating life's complexities. Now here's what most people miss. This is the crucial turning point, the paradigm shift that can unlock true freedom. The problem isn't the lack of closure. The problem is believing another person is responsible for giving it to you. We often place the key to our peace in someone else's hands, expecting them to provide the missing piece, the magic words that will set us free. This externalization of responsibility is a trap, as it gives away our power and leaves us dependent on factors outside our control. Even when people get the conversation they wanted, many still don't feel satisfied. They might hear the explanation, but it doesn't feel sufficient. Or it doesn't align with their own narrative, leaving them still searching. The words might be hollow, the apology insincere, or the reasons simply inadequate to fill the emotional void. This is because true closure is an internal process, not an external event. Because closure was never really about information. It was about certainty. It was about the illusion that if we just knew enough, we could control our feelings and prevent future pain. But life rarely gives complete certainty. The world is inherently unpredictable, and relationships are no exception. Embracing this inherent uncertainty is a vital step towards genuine peace. That's why waiting for closure can quietly keep attachment alive. You stay connected to a future conversation. You might find yourself checking their social media, hoping for a sign, or avoiding new relationships because you're still mentally engaged with the past. This waiting becomes a form of prolonged attachment, a subtle way of holding on to what was, preventing you from embracing what could be, a future answer, a future explanation. While your life stays on hold, your emotional energy is consumed by the past, leaving little room for growth, new experiences, or genuine connection in the present. It's like pressing pause on your own life, waiting for a scene that may never play out. The pain isn't always what happened. Sometimes it's refusing to accept that you may never fully understand why it happened. It's the struggle against the unknown, the resistance to letting go of the need for a perfect, logical explanation. This resistance, this internal battle, often causes more suffering than the original event itself. It's the refusal to surrender to the reality of an incomplete story. A small shift you can try is this. Ask yourself, if I never received another explanation, what would I need to accept today? This question shifts the focus from external seeking to internal processing. It empowers you to take control of your own healing journey. Regardless of what others do or don't do, it encourages you to identify the internal work that needs to be done. Because healing often begins where certainty ends. It's in the acceptance of ambiguity, the embrace of the unknown, that we find true liberation. When we stop demanding answers and start accepting the present reality, we open ourselves up to genuine healing and growth. Maybe closure isn't something another person gives you. Maybe closure is what happens when you stop waiting for them to. It's an active choice, a conscious decision to release the burden of expectation and to cultivate peace from within. It's about finding your own ending, writing your own final chapter, independent of anyone else's input. Memorable lesson. Closure is not always found. Sometimes it is chosen. It's a powerful reminder that our peace is ultimately in our own hands. If this changed how you think about breakups, watch Why You Can't Let Go After a Breakup. This video delves deeper into the psychological reasons behind prolonged attachment and offers further strategies for moving forward.